talk about Ryan Smith? For us, it looks like he's gotten faster this year than he did last year. Looks like he's got a lot more energy than he did this year than he did last year. Can you just talk about his game? And I know that you're not afraid to put him in any situation.
No, he's been, over the course of the year, he's been solid. I think I think when you get up in the late stages of your career, you really start to focus in on everything that's going to make your body churn. What you're putting in it, how you're going to train, all those things. I know he made a real big commitment to that this summer. He's helped us on the penalty kill. I've tried to utilize him where I think he's best on our power play. He's one of those guys that's willing to go stand right in front of the net and take a beating. So yeah, he's been a solid guy and a guy that the rest of our group needs to look at on how he carries himself in the community, how he carries himself with our fans. He's a pro, and we need a lot of our guys to emulate that.
Is it tough later on in your career, because earlier on you couldn't drag him off the ice, but now he's got to realize that, okay, I got a conserve manager at this spot, I got a conserve manager at this spot. Like, is that something that just happens to a player, or does he really have to learn how to conserve his body or get the most out of it?
No, you're right. That's exactly right. You've got to understand that your recovery process as you get older, it takes longer. It's not as fast as when you're a 22 or a 23-year-old guy. So you've got to have a real good pulse on what's going on with your body, and our strength crew in there keep an eye on that as well, just to make sure nobody's overtraining, not just with Smitty. And then the one thing that I've tried to keep an eye on is, and we haven't done it a whole lot, is the plan this year with Ryan was, we weren't going to play him a lot in back-to-back games, just to try to keep him fresh. But the way things have gone, and we've had to keep him in a lot of nights on those back-to-back games. So yeah, your body's an interesting thing. It's amazing how you can be so quick and fast, and then as you get older, you start to lose some of those quick twitch muscles. But the thing that you never lose as a player, and it's how Ryan stays in the game, is his hockey sense. And he's got great hockey sense, and he understands danger, and he's still trying to do everything the right way all the time.
Discuss Dallas, just after your meeting with Neil last week, how the kid seemed to keep a smile on his face, might be a little much, but try to keep positive, and then he comes back and scores for first-time goals in consecutive games. And maybe how that makes you feel that the meeting, at least short-term, has had a positive impact on him.
Yeah, I feel good for him. I feel good for him, and then I feel good for our team, because listen, this young man has had a lot of ups and downs this year, and he's had a real trying start to his second year, and he stuck with it. And I thought his last game, he was one of the few bright spots in that our last game on that road trip. I thought he was probably our best forward, and he's doing in that game. It wasn't even he was trying to do the things that we've been trying to promote. He did them, and even the game in San Jose, other than the one turnover at a real costly time, you take that out, he had a real solid game there too. But his last game I thought was very good. It's encouraging, but with any player, it has to be that way every night. It has to be that way every night, and I'm hopeful that he can continue that.
So your top line, is that just a blip on the screen? Taylor and Nuge and Braun, two games, certainly Taylor, 2 games that were not up in the standings.
Yeah, well, you hope it is. That's for sure. And the game in San Jose, I think it's pretty rare that a coach takes his top line and sits him on the bench for 13 minutes in the second period, and I challenged them after the second period, and I thought they would come right back that next game and be excellent, and they weren't. I don't think they were near as bad as they were in San Jose, but the circumstance on a couple of goals cost them plus minus wise, but they were clearly in the hole again, and so tonight's a great night. We're going to break them up. I'm going to put Ebbs back with Nuge and Halsey, and see if that hopefully ignites them, and get David with Yak, who's played very well, and David's been good for Yak this year. He's gone out of his way to try to help him. I think he enjoys kind of the part of being a player that tries to help coach a little bit too. So, we'll see how that goes early, but usually that is just a blip. Like Taylor Hall has been an excellent hockey player for us every night, and he's had a couple of tough nights. And the good thing about Taylor specifically is he's competitive. He wants to be the best player on the ice, and I know he'll be motivated to turn that around.
Dallas, on sort of a related note to what Derek talked about, but more specific to Nugent, Hopkins, and Hall, are you concerned a bit about their energy level? Like they played a lot of hockey for you, both over 20 minutes per game. We're in a compressed schedule right now. There's a little bit of illness running around with the group as well. You had pretty hard practice in San Jose before the game against San Jose. You've got great expectations for those players. Do you kind of have to, even though they're 20 to 23, one guy is 20, one guy is 22, do you have to kind of manage their energy levels as well?
Well, you keep an eye on them, and it's twofold. I've got to keep an eye on them, and they've got to really manage what they're doing off the ice too. They've got to make sure they're living right and eating right and training right. So that's the first challenge, is what they're doing away from the rink, and then the next challenge is for me to keep an eye on them in the games. And the problem we run into is when you get behind in these games, there's usually only one way to get back into it, and that's with your best players and the guys that can score. And those are the guys that can score, and that's how their minutes get run up a lot of times. So, moving forward as this team gets more experienced, I dearly want these guys to be able to handle in a normal season, like not a compressed one like this, but in a normal season, I'd like them to be able to handle that 22, 23 minutes a night, and they should be able to do it as they get some of that old man strength, I guess. But yeah, right now I'd love to be able to cut them back, but the only way we can do that is if we can get up in a game and be comfortable in it and not be playing from behind.
Alex, the game that you played against the Lightning in November, at that point it was 4-2, Tampa Bay won it, but it seemed coming out of the building that a lot of folks were happy with how the game went, 40 shots. Just generally how you played that game.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the games this year that we deserved a better fate. I can't remember how many times Stamkos scored that night, but it seemed like it was at least a couple. But yeah, like that's kind of there's been a number of games, but looking back, it's something that we've explained to our team, that success doesn't mean winning. The success to me means that after a game or whatever you do, after your job, doesn't matter what you do, is when you sit quietly with yourself and your own thoughts, or if you want to use the line, look in the mirror, that you did everything right that night and you brought everything you had. And that's a successful night. It's the nights like we've had, especially as of late after, I'm not sure we can all say that we gave everything we had and we did everything right. But that game in Tampa, I thought we did do basically everything right. And for me, it was a successful night for our hockey club, even though we lost the game. And if we can emulate that game each and every night, then everything swings back the other way in a positive way. But that's been the challenge here is we haven't been able to keep games like that going consecutive nights and 3 and 4 and 5 nights in a row.
Same defense tonight.
Oh yeah, same D.
What happened to you like from Beloff's game? Obviously, you're playing Brinson as a young player, and Hunt and Nunn.
I think Belov's, we were just speaking, what Bob was talking about, and I think he's getting run down a little bit. I think that's the first part. And when you start getting run down, you're a little bit slower on the ice. And this game on this ice surface, it is fast down there. Like the game is so fast at ice level, and he just seems a step off. And so we're trying to find rest for him, reward players that have been playing well in the minors as well. So that's where Marinson's come in and played fine, and Hunt had been playing well, and we're going to give him another look tonight.
Looks like Brizgalov goes, maybe just your thought there, and night in, night out, what's going into your goaltending decisions? How are you making these calls?
Well, Freddie Shabbat and I sat down and mapped out a plan kind of through the end of the break. We all know how those go. It usually changes. But so far we've stuck with it. Briz has played well for me. Has there been a couple of goals along the way that he wanted back? Yeah, sure. But we have players that have made plays that they want back too. So I thought the other night in our last game there on the road, like our penalty kill, we had to endure 8 straight kills in the game, and he was a massive part of us killing those penalties. And that's usually how it goes on your penalty kill. Like you can system this, system that, have the right players, but your goalie has to always be your best killer. And I thought he did an excellent job there, and with maybe a little luck, we could have been a little bit closer in that game.
Is Larson, is he just ill? It's 2.5 weeks now he's been out. Is it concussion? Is he a WAMA? What's going on there?
No, you know what, I wish I could give you a straight answer, but I'm not quite sure. It seems like they ruled out concussion, but he's having dizziness. He's had some body aches, and we bring him back up to speed, and then something else comes up on him. So it's what's going on right now is basically we're just checking him head to toe to rule out anything, and but it doesn't seem to be a concussion. We were worried maybe there was something going on inside him. We've kind of ruled out that, but it's ongoing process, and I'm not trying to hide anything here on anything. This is a mystery not only to Larson but to our medical staff as well, and we're just trying to pinpoint what it is and not push him into anything he's not ready for.
When you looked, sorry, Dallas, like maybe a week ago, you look at the upcoming schedule and you see Phoenix, Anaheim, San Jose, Tampa. Like it just seems like right now is maybe the toughest stretch when it comes to playing elite teams, and what you think as your team kind of works through this stretch of games.
Yeah, man, it doesn't matter if it was Buffalo, Florida, Toronto, and Carolina coming. It's a hard game every night. It doesn't matter. The thing that we run in against is the top teams. I believe in the league, after watching a fair amount on TV and obviously coaching against the other teams, are those teams like San Jose and Phoenix to some degree, and Anaheim and LA. Like those teams they're rolling over everyone, just not us. And those are tough games for our group right now. It's they are able to lean on us and push us, and whether it's a fatigue factor or just a simple size factor, we haven't been able to push back much. And yeah, Sidney Crosby's coming to town, and Tampa's riding a hot goalie, and and in comes heavy St. Louis again. Those are your challenges in this league, but it doesn't matter. Like, even if some of the teams that are down around us in the standings were coming in, it's going to be a hard game. Every night it's a hard game. And you better get comfortable with that as a player, because you can never ever have an off night in this league, or you're going to get your lunch handed to you.
So how do you make them believe when you go into San Jose and Anaheim and get pushed out of the game the way you did in those 2 games? And you just said you have a hard time pushing back, and every guy in that room knows you're not big enough to beat those teams on a regular basis. How do you make them believe they can beat them?
Well, here's the way I look at it is we're playing these teams single games. So it's not like suddenly we find ourselves today and we're playing the St. Louis Blues in a 7-game series. I think that would be right now a hard thing for me to sell to our team. And boy, you would really have to find some inspiration and have such a detailed plan on how you're going to do it. But I certainly believe in single games against these teams, that you should be able to go in and challenge them. It's not we're not playing that big heavy team night after night. And do you run into, like we just did, San Jose, and then into Anaheim, where now it is kind of back-to-back, like a little mini-series? Yeah, sure you do. But when I look at the lineups, and I look at their top players and our top players, I think a lot of nights there's an argument to be made that this could be a saw-off. And we have to find the belief that we can at least play with these guys and use our the skills that we have to our advantage. And that's the problem that we've had, and we're trying to get past, is we play into their hands a lot of times, where, listen, we need to get this puck deep and use our speed to get past their big, heavy, but slow-footed defensemen. And we turn it into, well, no, we're going to skate past them with the puck. And now he closes us out, he puts us up, they have the puck again, and now we're chasing it. So it's more when we play these teams that are heavier than us, I think puck protection, using your speed, playing in the offensive zone and not giving the puck up, by using our skills, our passing skills, our speed, our ability to dart back and forth quickly and lose these big defenders. That's the way to do it. But we get caught in this, oh no, I'm going to do this myself, and I'm going to just take this guy one-on-one, where you're not going to win one-on-one battles. You've got to turn it into a 2-on-1 game all the time. And that's, for me, how you beat these guys. You play a 2-on-1 game, you isolate a guy quickly, and these are short, quick plays. But we're getting isolated out, thinking that we can out-muscle and basically take guys one-on-one, and that's not going to happen. Well, you see it. It's not going to happen. Good.